completely different part of the world. For example, an Australian guy who wanted to know more about grafting watermelons, which is in Australia a huge product in numbers. Talk really about not millions but 10 millions and plus. And he could even sort of try to start up a new business out of it. So that makes it actually double interesting. So, but regarding LED, the techniques, all the possibilities and the options, I this year somehow contacted Patrick via the fabulous medium LinkedIn. And after short messages up and down, we came to the connection, and I thought it would be a very nice option, just getting back to the last year, seeing it now and see what kind of developments there are, what kind of options there are. So I asked them if they wanted to join Fluor, a company called Megatronics. And Koen will go for it.
Yeah, thanks Hans.
Good luck.
I know the two other ones managed to do it in 15 minutes. I have one weakness. You will have to remind me.
Okay.
Is it okay without the microphone? I think so, should they? Okay. As a grow light manufacturer, actually, we have two missions. At one side, we try to make new technologies, what should allow you in the future to grow more produce actually with the same means, with the same electricity and the same water and whatever you have. At the other side, what we also try to do is, one of our aims is to develop or make systems for the future, what should allow you to have the same growth like what you have today, but with less electricity or less use of resources. And that's what I'm going to focus on today. Last year, from Agris, we did see indeed that LED for them for grafting worked. It was very clear that they came from fluorescent lamps. By changing to LED, their routing was of course much better. For the people who were there, this is just a small reminder. On the other end, you saw morphologic-wise that you got nearly the same results from LED compared to fluorescent. But one of the conclusions was, yes, LED is of course much more efficient when you look to electricity energy consumption. And they went from roughly 160 watts to 32 watts with 72% decrease of energy, while in the same time, and that's of course where the routing comes from, they increased their PPFD level from 45 micromoles per square meter to 85 micromoles per square meter. So yes, it works. On the other hand, we have been talking a lot in the last 12 months with a lot of big vertical farms which exist already. Maybe, is there anybody here from Aero Farms or Farm 1 or Fisher Farms? No? So a lot of big projects are going on already in the US at the moment. And still, yes, it is difficult. It is difficult as an initial investment because LED is still expensive. And secondly, the running cost of a vertical farm makes, in a lot of cases, actually, that it's difficult for those people to make money. So there is still a lot of work to do, and that's what I would like to show you a few tips and tricks today. I've just taken the example from last year. So if you look at the moment, then you see that initial investment of grow light ranges somewhere between 40 euro cents to 80 euro cents per micromole. It depends a little bit in is it a top light in a greenhouse, is it interlighting what you're talking about, is it vertical farming. But this is the range of investment what you are talking about. In this example from this vertical farm from last year, suppose that they're going to do 1,000 square meter of canopy at a PPFD of 85 micromoles per square meter. That would mean that their investment only for the LED would be somewhere between 34 and 68k euros. That's one thing. But second, it has to run. And yes, it was more efficient than CML. But if we just do a little bit of maths, they were working at a DLI of roughly 18 hours of light per day. What would mean, if they would run 1,000 square meters, they would consume about 576 kilowatts of power. Of course, the energy prices are different in every region. In Holland, we are now roughly at 7 cents, but it is going up. That would mean that on a day level it still looks okay, it's only 40 euros for 1,000 square meters, but on a year level it's 14,000 euros just to run at those conditions. There are a few things what is going to make these costs going down. And the first thing is something what's not in our hands as a grow light maker, but it's in the hands of the chip makers. The LEDs themselves are getting every year more efficient. And certainly in the last 24 months we have seen huge increases. A pity at one side for those people who have invested already 2 years ago in grow lights with LEDs, because on LED level, on the chip itself, at that moment 2 years ago, we spoke about 2.5 to 2.7 micromoles per joule or micromoles per watt of power consumption. That was the level at that time. Today, this is going to be launched somewhere in Q4. This is Osram, one of the major brands. Actually, all of us are using Osram at the moment because they are leading in efficiency. We don't have many choice. So we see at the moment that indeed, efficacy-wise, they go now already to 3.8 micromoles per joule. That means that if you want to keep your same light level on your plants, your 85 micromoles, compared from 2 years ago to today, you would need already 25% less energy, just 2 years time. But there is going to come an end on this. Same like in the white lights LEDs, there is going to come an end, bottom, or a top line on it. We can still improve on the LED itself. There is still room for about 20 to 25% extra improvement, but after that, the law of physics says that's it. You can't do more. So that technology is going to last a little bit more into 2020, 2021, but somewhere there it's going to top off. What else can be done? Well, then actually, and that's the 2 tips I would like to give you, you have to look from a plant perspective rather than from an LED or a lighting perspective. This actually, you know already. This is just a technology which was already discovered in the late 1900s by Dr. Lee and Dr. L, where when you're having direct light on your crops, you will have more sunflex coming from your leaf index from your leaves on the second leaves compared to when you put a haze in your glass. This technology has been implemented in a lot of modern greenhouses for years. Actually, LED light isn't different. LED light you can compare to a direct light source. It's a lot of small suns. And these suns make that if you have a more complex crop, that actually only a small portion of your crops are going to perceive those micromoles what you have made. Because of that direct light, you will see immediately that if you look a little bit close to your crops, that you will see a lot of shadow. And everything with shadow is very simple, it's not gonna work. Whatever you're gonna have there in shadow, and it can be a lot. Of course, in young plants in propagation, you won't have that much of this situation, but once you go to a little bit more leafy crops like pecorino or something, basil, you will have like 40–50% of your crop which is not touched by the light. And if the light doesn't land, it won't contribute a thing. So what you can do is actually the same technology what you use in greenhousing by hazing your light, because haze doesn't lose energy. That's something what's sometimes in the head of people. People think if you're going to haze your glass, you're going to lose on efficiency. Actually, it's not. Glass can be produced in hazing with most of the time chemical etching without losing light. So total light, what comes out, stays the same. So a small first tip, when you go in vertical farming, put a haze glass under your lights if you are growing, of course, more complex crops. It's gonna make sure with the same PPFD light level that you're gonna get a lot of growth results. You can easily go 20–25% of more contact of light with your plant, and that's gonna result directly in biomass immediately. Okay, the second one is so this is what you get when you're hazing your glass. You don't see any spots anymore. The second thing is something, a thing what made me thinking about 6–7 months ago. I was driving on the highway here in Holland towards Venlo, the German border, and it was a little bit misty that morning. And thanks to this mist, I saw this effect while driving on the highway. And it's not a UFO. This was actually 2 greenhouses, 2 tomato greenhouses. On the left-hand side, was his 6 hectares with Sonti. You see the yellow reflection. And on the right hand side was his new installation from last year with LED. And I was roughly 3.5 kilometers, 4 kilometers away from that plant. So that's an awful lot of energy what's hanging in the air over there. Where's that coming from? Reflection. It's pure reflection. Every material reflects. You can't have only a black hole doesn't reflect, but all the rest reflects. So if you look at a simulation,